to the town of Agua Fria, Rhode. Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. I'm your host, Danny Casamelli, and I am here to tell you about some safety precautions. As you might know now, it's been getting a little brisk out there. And by brisk, I mean that there's a lot of violence in the streets. I think you know what I'm talking about. Okay? And my job here on the show is to teach you guys how to become prepared. Okay? So step one. This is what you're going to need to do. Step one is to always follow your dreams. Just go ahead and follow your dreams, everyone, because it's going to be okay. Step two is to go ahead and lock all your doors and your windows, because, as you know, it's pretty brisk out there, and it's not going to be ending anytime soon, as you know. Ooh, how you doing? So, one thing that we've just got to be aware of in the world is the fact that we're probably not going to live for too much longer, as you know. So, step three is to tell your children you love them. Because children, they're important, okay? And you gotta have them around. But, unfortunately, you know, because if your house gets broken into, I mean, what are your children going to do, right? What are they going to fight? No, they're not going to fight. They're going to die. So go ahead and tell your children you love them. Go ahead and do that. And step four is probably to just go ahead and remain calm. Because you gotta just remain calm in these situations. That's all you really got to do in this world is remain calm. So even though you're about to get your face eaten by a flesh-rotten zombie, which is what's going on right now, just know that you got to remain calm. So if it's coming at you, just remain calm. That's all you got to do. That's how you survive.
I always wanted to be a singer. Like I would look at different artists back then, and 90s R&B is like my favorite. Like I love 90s R&B. I grew up on it. You know, groups like Blackstreet, you know, R. Kelly, you know, Usher, and just like all the greats. And I would just think like I want to be like them. I want to be a singer, you know, but I didn't think my voice was that great. And so my mom put this fashion show together with her friends, and I performed this song called Don't Leave by Blackstreet, and I was super nervous. I think I was 9, and I had on my dad's red gator shoes and his clothes. So I was always a bigger kid, and so I could fit my dad's clothes, my stepdad, and I had his clothes on, and I looked really sharp, and I was like really excited, but I thought I sounded like crap, and so I was just like, oh, this is gonna be crazy. And that was my first performance, and I think it went really good. I got a good response from the crowd, so at that point I was like, oh yeah, I definitely want to be an entertainer. So that was it.
I don't think there's one cause of homelessness. There's not one major reason why any one person or family or household is outside, but it really can happen to anyone. I've met doctors, lawyers, PhDs, priests, ministers. I've met any professional, like people, master's degrees. I've met the whole gamut. And
if we get the individual housed and safe and under a roof, and then provide the supports to deal with barrier issues such as undiagnosed or untreated mental health issues, maybe relationship issues with the family, we could do some repairing with that. Once you're safe and under a roof, you might be able to actually make those appointments. You might be able to actually have these people come to where you live, and then begin to develop the habits that will help you be a good tenant and be able to stay housed. At research, you know that people of color or people of a certain age have increased police contacts, so they're more likely to have a record, and that can be a situation that limits opportunities such as employment, access to healthcare sometimes, and housing. So it's hard to be stable if you can't get a job because you have a criminal record and you can't get an apartment. So that's a cycle that's very, very common and continues, because if you erect a tent structure on the street, you might get a ticket. And then that ticket's going to show up on a record that all landlords, run screenings. It's a cycle that's really hard. So we write a lot of reasonable accommodations to try to get around that. Drugs, particularly meth and heroin, are a strongly presenting issue. Many programs require abstinence in order to even get services, and trying to meet the clients where they're at and not require total abstinence, is controversial. Harm reduction, people are like, oh, you have to not use, or you have to ignore it totally. The reality is, no matter what my personal views would be, is if this person's doing a little heroin and still being nonviolent and still being housed, maybe that's okay.
Like, that just doesn't happen. I was doing a tour of Lines for Life today, which is the statewide hotline on drug and alcohol stuff. They get people call and say, I want to get sober, and they're drunk. And all they can do is tell them to keep them on the phone and talk to them a little bit, and then when they sober up, try and get them on the phone the next day, and then get them to go to an AA meeting, when in fact, they should be saying, okay, hold on, where's your address? And just like if they were called and said, I had a heart attack, and then we sent an ambulance, we should be sending a peer mentor to their house at 2 o'clock in the morning when they're drunk off their ass, and get them into recovery right then and there. That's gonna save the state a bunch of money in the long term. And so treatment on demand, and the last, recovery support.
Where are you, Christmas? Why can't I find you? Why have you gone away? Where is the laughter you used to bring me? Why can't I hear music play? My world is changing. I'm Where are you, Christmas? Do you remember the one you used to know?
Your own tissues, your own living structure, are not static like the boards and plaster of your house. Every cell of you is constantly being replaced. You aren't quite the same as you were even yesterday. And in a few years, you will be going around in a completely new body.
Oh,